Okay, first test of the new sender unit. I have run the car up already, just very briefly. I was a little bit concerned initially. Sorry about the glare off the screen there. I was a little bit disappointed initially because, well, first of all, the sender is about 5mm shorter than the Range Rover sender, as we're calling it. Second of all, it seemed very slow to respond. In actual fact, it was looking like it wasn't responding at all initially, so I just ran a little jump lead off my sender wire and grounded it to the engine block, and true enough, the gauge did shoot up. Okay, so it does respond. It just responds just fractionally slower at this stage, but like I say, it's showing just under 50, and we've got on the Temp software, as you can see, 53 degrees. So let's fire up again, and we'll watch that temperature rise and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we're up to 55. The gauge is actually responding quite nicely now. So it seems to be just a little bit slow to respond initially. It's a brand new sender in a in an open hole, and a little bit shorter. Maybe the coolant needed to percolate up around the sender. So we're just over 50, approaching 60, 57 on the Temp software. Now that mark between 50 and 70 is not an even mark, so I don't think that next mark up on the TVR gauge is actually 60. Let's have a look at the Temp software. Just about to break 60 now. So we'll see, we're 60 degrees C on the Temp software, and we're just over that mark, which that would probably be about 60 there. It's rising real quick now. That's pretty good. I've got an 88 degree thermostat in here, but of course this is engine side of thermostat, this sender, which is where you want it, in the inlet manifold. Okay, so when we touch 70 here, I'm going to take you back to the Temp software and see how close that is. Not quite there yet. That looks about 70 on the gauge, 67 on the Temp software, 68, 69, 70. Back to the TVR gauge, just over 70. Seems to be over reading by a degree or two. It's hardly anything. Much more accurate than the resistor mod on the Range Rover sender. Okay, now the next mark up again isn't, that looks fairly even between 70 and 90, so we'll call that 80. When we reach that mark, we'll come back and we'll have a look at the Temp software and see if we're matching 80. That's 80. Back to the software, 79 degrees, 80. That's spot on. Okay, we're coming back, we're heading to 90. Let's see what it does at the upper range. Right, that's hit 90. And we're showing 86, 87, just coming up to 88. Still pretty accurate. Let's see 90. Oh, she's going over. Oh, super impressed with that. It's heading towards 100. So seems to be stalling around now. That looks to me to be, let's say 98 on the TVR gauge. These TVR instruments are a bit ropey, but that's a little bit disappointing. It's sort of sitting, coming down slightly actually, only fractionally. It's sort of sitting, let's say, around about 95. Here it goes, it's coming down. That's interesting. Maybe the sender's just settling itself down, so that's better. So we're roughly around about 95. It's still dropping very fractionally. It's coming back down towards 90, which is really where it wants to be. So we're just over 90 on the, I don't know why it had that little spike there, but let's go back and have a look and see where we're at. Yeah, we're 91. So we're 91 on the Temp software. And we're 91 on the gauge, that's pretty good. Alright, that seems to have settled. There was a little early spike there, I don't know what that was. Maybe a little cavitation in the inlet manifold, and there was a little pocket of air around the sender. Don't know. Seems to have settled around 90 now, which is good. Fans are cutting in, so that's good. Second fan cutting in. I've got a Davis Craig stage fan controller. So it looks like a winner, boys. Don't know what that little spike was, but this sender, and I'll put the information on piston heads so everybody can get one. They're only £15 a pop. You have to buy two, unfortunately. So find yourself a friend, as I did. But this is the first test. I haven't driven the car yet, but early tests seems to indicate, other than that really strange spike that it had, which it's settled. That seems to work pretty well. So yeah, so we're showing just below 90. I don't know whether you can see that. It's very much about the angle of the gauge, the camera against the gauge and the needle. But I would say that's sort of 88, 89, and we're seeing sort of 86 here. I mean, we're splitting hairs. That's coming down slightly as well. So for a normal kind of analog gauge, I think we'll pull that pretty accurate, really. It's just sitting below 90 now nicely, and the fans will cut out in a minute. So alright then, well, thanks for watching. That seems to work pretty well.